I think that the first problem is for us to understand why it is that even in the periods in which we had growth, and smart growth, so innovation-led growth, for example the 1990s, were periods in which in fact inequality rose so quickly, so steeply. So how actually to get smart and inclusive growth to go hand in hand requires analyzing decades like the 1990s to ask what went wrong. And currently, the story that is the one that we're constantly hearing is that there's a skill bias with innovation. So some people get left behind. My view is that that only explains part of the story of why growth has not been inclusive, smart but not inclusive. Another part of the story, which I think we need also much more research on, but also more people willing to talk about it, is that there's a problem of value extraction. That certain agents within the system, not just financial agents, have been extracting more than they've actually been contributing. So there's been a disproportion, if you want, between the risks and the rewards. And this really requires also telling a new story about who the risk takers are. So in some ways, I'm taking also a narrative perspective. I believe that before even thinking about concrete policies which will reduce inequality, we need to question what is the story we're actually telling ourselves of where wealth comes from. Because only by really then looking at that story carefully can we start asking questions about, to what degree is wealth then extracted by some, because this is currently what's being said today, that there's all these rentiers and speculators and that the financial sector as a whole has in some ways benefited from not production but speculation. And that story, which has been a story that's been told to explain inequality, has not been then linked up with a story about where value comes from. And so that's where I see myself sort of filling the gap.